Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast, episode 790.
From the sleepy suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio, there are assembled the world's two greatest podcast hosts, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Sean Whalen.
Welcome to Raging Bullets, a DC Comics fan podcast. I'm a big fan of variant colors. My love for Batman is that stuff. Let's talk some comics.
And Jim Segulin.
How's it going, eh? You know me and Superman. I'm really loving what they're doing. Raging Bullets is a spoiler podcast.
Their mission, to discuss DC Comics in books, movies, and television several times a month in 1 to 3 hour episodes. And to serve all mankind.
Outstanding!
Welcome to Raging Bullets. I'm Sean Whalen, drnorge, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Jim, the sensei of the whatnot, Segulin.
How's it going, eh?
Jim, on this episode, we're going to be talking about the DC All-In Special, and we're going to be talking about the Summer of Superman Special. We are doing a multi-part series leading up to DC KO, where we're going to start covering DC KO and the related tie-ins. So we thought it was good to jump back to the very beginning of this and some of the early issues that spun out of the Absolute Power crossover. We're also on the road to episode 800. It's hitting me right now that it's weeks away. When I say weeks, it's about 10 weeks away, but still, that's very, very quick in how fast things are moving now. So I'm excited for the fact that we're going to be entering into 2026 with, really, it's going to be 20 years of podcasting and 800 episodes. So really excited for what's coming up for the podcast. We're sponsored, as always, by DCB Service and InStockTrades.com. Mr. Segulin, what's going on over at DCBService.com?
DCKO. Once again, DCBS is really helping us out. 38% off variant covers, various current covers. You can do a search for DCKO to see what items they have in their back catalog still available for you. So thank you, DCBS.
Over at InStockTrades.com, I want to shout out the DC's Finest events. They've been doing these as multi-part collections. Here's what they're doing. They're recollecting Crisis on Infinite Earths in multiple trade paperbacks. It's not just Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's all the tie-ins. So it's great because each one has, like this one has DC Comics Presents 78, Crisis on Infinite Earths 1 through 4, All-Star Squadrons 50 to 52, Fury of Firestorm, Infinity Inc., Detective Comics, Green Lantern, Justice League of America, Batman, The Losers Special, Wonder Woman, and pages from Swamp Thing. This is 544 pages just covering 1 through 4 of Crisis on Infinite Earths and all of the tie-ins. $39.99 regularly, 55% off, only $17.99 for all of that content. If you don't have those issues and you're looking for a cost-effective way to engage with Crisis, I don't know how else you do it. That's really a fantastic collection. I want to thank DCB Service and InStockTrades.com for continuing to support our show. Mr. Segulin, what kind of a podcast are we?
Raging Bullets is a spoiler podcast. We go in-depth into plotline, story twists, and whatnot of the comics we're discussing on today's show. So if you haven't read the books, you may want to come back later so you can better enjoy the show.
Let's talk some comics.
A scarlet costume ejects from his ring, and in a blur of motion, police scientist Barry Allen becomes the Flash.
Jim, there's a couple of quick shout-outs that I want to put out there. So first of all, I don't know if you've seen these. When we were kids, and I don't know how much you can see it right now, we had the Ben Cooper costumes. Remember the ones?
Yeah.
So they've made action figures of these. And from the DC end of it, at least the ones I've seen so far, and I got all 5 of these, they have the Batgirl, Batman, the Joker, the Superman one, and Wonder Woman. And it's basically like an action figure dressed up in the costume. I geeked out over this because I had this costume as a kid. So needed to own these. So they're like the perfect size for like a shelf, and it looks like a kid in the doggone costume. This could have very well been me. So I needed to have these. They were not a want, they were a need.
Where can I get these?
So a lot of comics and pop culture shops carry these. So what you're looking for is just the Ben Cooper superhero action figures, or Ben Cooper action figures, because they have a lot of them. I mean, they have this superhero line, but if you were somebody that grew up with the Ben Cooper costumes in general, they have a lot of the pop culture ones throughout that have been done as. So, well, I guess what I'm saying is, if it's not just the DC stuff you have interested in, they're there. They're like they're doing this as a line, and I think it's just way cool. I needed to have these. It wasn't a want. It was one of those things where it was a plus. So take a look for those. And then this is a documentary that came out just recently. It's The Legend of Kingdom Come. I saw this one on Instagram. So, like, my reels, they've really got me pegged. It's like old pro wrestling, famous movie quotes, like funny comedy stuff. Robin Williams will pop up and stuff like that. But then lots of, like, comic book related stuff, particularly DC. So it's Alex Ross and Mark Waid pitching The Legend of Kingdom Come, a documentary. This Blu-ray has this really cool over an hour documentary, but there's also an additional over an hour of supplemental conversational material with these creators. So it's well over 3 to 4 hours of content relating to Kingdom Come, the genesis of it, the time in comics and what was going on. If you're a comic book history fan at all and love these creators at all, this is a chance to get to hear these creators share today what that was like, and looking back on the legacy of Kingdom Come. So very interesting. When you think back at the time, I totally forgot about the fact that this is when it was the mullet Superman.
Yeah.
And one of the tidbits that came out of this one is they had to fight to not use the mullet. Because remember, this is Alex Ross's artwork. It was classic. They did not know that Kingdom Come would be a hit. So, they were very focused on their current continuity, and they figured the mullet needed to carry over to the future with Superman. And they had to fight against that. One of many things they had to fight against. And it just really, these little tidbits and facts, this is the kind of stuff I get interested in. Like, what didn't I know? I didn't know that the mullet was a battle.
Hey, the mullet was a look.
The mullet was a look.
I can honestly say I did not rock a mullet. But I knew a lot.
But Superman did. Superman did.
A lot of people did, and a lot of people. It looked cool on some people, and it did not look cool on others. Superman, it looked cool on.
It did.
And I will even give Billy Ray Cyrus. I would say he rocked it well. I think he looked good with it. But there's a couple people I know. And them as well.
Oh yes.
At school, they did not rock it well.
Yeah,
they did not.
Yeah, if I remember my hair being a little longer back then. I had hair. I remember my hair being a little longer back then. I wouldn't say I got a mullet because I think it was very quick. Even the longer hair didn't work on me. So, it was a thing back then. It really was. You know what I liked with Superman, too, that he did with the mullet? I know this is a tangent we're going on right now. But I liked the ponytail. When he would do every so often the Clark Kent did the ponytail. It was kind of a little bit of a way to disguise it. I do think, though, like at some point in time, somebody should have said, Superman's got longer hair. Clark's got longer hair now. I mean, like some of those things are like dead giveaways. I really am a big fan of the current thing that they're doing with Superman, where they've been taking like a little bit of a lead from the film. And they've been doing his hair kind of like a little bit differently when he's Clark Kent. Stuff like that, I think, just adds to the whole disguise, and I think it's just way cool. So let's jump in, if we could, to the All-In special. So the writers on this are Joshua Williamson and Scott Snyder. The center spread artists are Dan Mora and Tamra Bonvillain. The letters are Steve Wands. Alpha, which is the first half of it, the artist is Daniel Sampier with Alejandro Sanchez on colors. Omega is artist is Wes Craig, and colors by Mike Spicer. And I'm going to apologize in advance for any name butchery there, because this is a really cool creative team. And actually, I think the way that they handled this with the two stories that are being told here that mirror each other, I think it was great to switch up the art teams, because I feel like it gave you this sense of two different worlds almost of Darkseid and two different perspectives of Darkseid coming at this. This story, I had no idea at the time when I originally read it how important it was. I also don't remember thinking about as much of how this is so much Darkseid. It's almost like Darkseid's become DC's V'ger in this. Is this all I am? Is this all that I'm meant to be?
Yes.
Because Darkseid discovers that his powers have been like almost carved up as each of the new worlds are created and stuff like that to create a balance. So with the shutdown that it's become, where the bubble that's been around the universe, Darkseid now all of a sudden has discovered he's like almost like tendrils. All of this power of his is out there. Has come to reality of who he is and what his role has been. And he wants something more. Big shock with Darkseid. Yeah. But this is just, you don't know when they do these events. And I think it's really important that companies do this because it gets you excited. You go back later and go, oh, this is what they were doing. And this was a great example of how you do a lead-in to get people excited for the universe and get people excited. Did you read this when it came out? Like, because we were as a podcast in a different sort of place. So what did this look like for you?
Okay, well, here's the funny thing. When you figure out what what the game plan is. For those who don't know, Sean is the organized one of the two of us. Surprise, surprise. And he lays out, hey, we're going to cover this, that, and this, and how about this kind of stuff. And Sean's the guide on this. So when you first threw out the All-In Special, I was like, oh, yeah, sure. It's just a reread. I read that before. And then I started reading it, and I go, oh, crud, I did not read this.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm glad that we did this then.
Dude, I could have swore I read this because I remember this cover. I remember saying, oh, that's a cool looking cover with Darkseid. Oh, yeah. I remember vividly seeing the cover. I just, for whatever reason, never opened it up and never read it. You know, so and it was funny because I was sitting there going, as I'm reading all the different parts, as I'm reading the summer special and the stuff going on in Superman and the Justice League, I kept thinking, man, it'd be kind of neat if they did a backstory. I wonder if they're going to do that in the actual story arc. Oh, yeah. Then I had in my head, like, part 2 or part 3 of the actual story arc is going to be the backstory. I'm like, oh, that's going to be neat. They're like, no, they already did it, Jim. It's right here.
Yeah.
You just didn't read it. I was like, oh, so for me going into this, I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome.
Well, and when I read this back in the day, it looked like exactly what it is. It was a tease into the absolute universe. But now you flash to this and you're like, well, no, it's not just that. And say just that makes it sound like it's diminishing it. It is that, fully that, and something so much more leading into this. Because I had no idea, like, even though they tease it at the end of this, I had no idea where Legion was going and all that kind of stuff. And they do a lot as far as this is the lead into Justice League Unlimited. This is the immediate response to what was going on with Amanda Waller and the fact that they lost their powers and absolute power. Now they're back and they're recognizing our big screw up was disbanding. Yeah. So let's get back together, but let's do it in a whole different way. And I love the creation of the card because the card's pretty pivotal because the card is a touch point in history. And I love timey-wimey stuff.
Yes.
This card in the future inspires Booster Gold. And we're seeing in real time the creation of this card that was for him part of his draw to become a hero altogether back in the day. And I love it's 52 days later. I love that.
Yeah.
They dropped the 52 nugget in there. It's like
every so often they're going to do it.
It makes me smile.
Yeah, me too. I cheer, I smile. I'm like, yeah, 52, baby.
Yeah. Because that weekly event, 52, was one of those that I know the continuity has shifted in many, many ways. And we're going to talk about actually some of that in this episode because there's some continuity changes that have happened over time that we need to discuss. But 52 was such a cool concept, the weekly episodic read of a big DC story that was so well executed back in the day. So it still makes me smile when I think of 52 as a concept. This creation of the card leads into the recruitment and just what that looks like. And I like that some people are like all in, like this is like finally my moment, or even Roy, I'm back, baby. That stuff just works really well for me. Supergirl's reaction was fantastic. And even Blue Beetle. It's like, it's an honor, but am I ready? I love everyone's kind of in different, like natural different places.
And I love that Blue Beetle is sitting there having a conversation with his parents about it.
Yes.
That for me, again, that little bit so says I understand who Jaime is. Right there. And I even love how Damien's like, Damien pulls it off because he's Damien. I was, again, a single page. I loved how they broke down all the craziness they've dealt with. And they're like, we need to come back. And if it wasn't just about the recruitment, they're like going through. And it's Clark being the narrator out of this,
yes,
explaining what's happening through the darkness, through the loss, betrayal, nightmare, change. When our enemies came together to take advantage of us, we survived like we always do, but knew if we were coming back, we needed to do somehow different. And I love this a little bit, and then you start seeing those introductions, start seeing the people getting the card, and then I love how this leads to Booster Gold.
Wait, can I pause you just for 1 second? Again, keep that thought. I want to go to that page you were talking about, though. That picture of Superman at the beginning, that opening double page, like where he stretches across.
Yeah.
You've got the two birds flanking him, and you've got the sun in the background. It is a beautiful image. One of the things that I love about some of my favorite Superman images are they make you want to fly.
Yeah.
And just the beauty of it. Disney has a ride called Soarin', where you get on it and it's one of those simulators where it feels like you're flying. It genuinely feels like you're flying. And it's over land. There's points in time in it where you're going over trees and like you feel like you need to lift your feet up because you're going to accidentally kick them.
Oh,
and I don't know if anybody else listening to this has ever gone on this ride and had the same experience, but I lift my feet up every doggone time. I know it's coming because anytime I go to either Disney park, I will go on Soarin' when I can, just because it's one of those comfort rides where it's like, I've been walking all over the place and stuff like that. I want to kick back and relax, and it gets you excited. It makes you feel like you're flying, but you don't actually have to do anything. It checks a lot of boxes on a hot day, and it's the room's always cool. It's depending on what the environment outside is like. This is like one of those solace rides that you go on. And I've found that when I was younger, it was the sense of wonder of flying. Now it's coolness. Air conditioning is my friend. Yeah, but it's an amazing ride, and it is one of those, if you've never gone to the Disney parks and you're planning to, do not pass up Soarin' if you are a Superman fan, because it is as close as one of the closest ways you're going to get to actually feeling like you're flying, where it's not about blasting you out at speeds like roller coasters I love roller coasters, but the difference with a roller coaster, because it's such a thrill ride, you don't get a chance to breathe and embrace what's going on. With Soarin', you actually get a chance to I'm flying. And it's the Superman who slows down and gets a chance to look over everything that's going on around him. It's just a cool ride. This makes me feel like that when I look at it. It's one static image, but you get that sense of wonder of flight is cool. And man, this guy makes me smile, and I want to be Superman. And that's one of the coolest things, I think, when you get that image. I'm sorry, you were going to go on to Booster Gold, and 100% we do need to go there, because he's a big player. And I think when this All-In Special came out, no idea how big a player he was going to be in all of this.
Oh God, yeah. And it's funny because, as I said, I didn't read this when this first came out. I only saw the later images of him captured and all that with the beard and isn't it? He had been held captive for a long time. So I didn't know any of this lead up to it. So it was kind of like, oh my God, there was so much more going on with Booster, because Booster's that character that I absolutely fell in love with.
Yes.
And especially when you start learning, there's multiple Booster Golds out there. There is the Booster Gold that's the goofball. There's the Booster Gold that's pretending to be the goofball. And then there's the Booster Gold that is actually the hero who's hiding from the other two versions of himself. Mm-hmm. And I love that kind of notion of him, that he is the hero that that nobody ever knows about. No one will ever know. And at the same time, he's also that goofball that it was it's Booster, but there's really the other Booster who's hidden in the side. And I love that. And I love seeing this version of him where he's starting to get that maturity in present society among the heroes. I love the fact that he helps the people. He's not doing it for likes. He's not doing it for subscribes. He was just doing it because it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
And that was such a huge thing. I was like, yes, Booster. We're getting a Booster. We're getting the good Booster. And the Booster I really like. So I was so cheering when I saw him come in. And then, again, it leads to that great Superman moment. Just that you see Booster do the right thing, and then you flip the page, and Superman's standing, hovering there in the Superman pose.
Yeah.
Come on. I cheered. Because you talk, I agree. Everything you said about the wanting to feel like flying, but the second I saw that image, he standing there in the Superman pose, I busted out the pose right along with him. You got the cape flowing behind him. It was absolutely brilliant. I loved this look, and then loved how this played out. Love the fact.
Two lines he says there. 2 words he says there, I should say. I'm impressed. And it is an important thing to note. I'm sorry, that man is sitting there in that pose, smiling like that, with what he brings to the table and his history and what he means to everybody in this universe. He says, I'm impressed. That moment you just got to bask in. But I love Booster's reaction to the whole dog thing. So, even leading to the, wait, am I in trouble? Which is such a Booster line. And when we're talking about multiple versions of Booster, just to clarify, because of time travel,
yeah,
that's where that all comes from. It's Booster from different levels of maturity interacting with what's going on in this realm. Over the years, multiverse, timey-wimey, and what that even looks like, there are going to be some questions along the way. And Summer of Superman special, I've got one in particular where I'm like, is that not a thing now? And we'll talk about that when we get to it. But I like stuff like this where it just gives you kind of a sense right now of where the universe is at, who everyone is, where they fit into all of this before we screw with them, which is what this story is.
And I love the fact that the cards automatically were transported to the different people. But Clark said, no, I want to hand this to Booster. And he even explains in there how in the past, a lot of the Justice League had their ups and downs with him. They looked, kind of like, didn't look. Clark wanted to make sure Booster knew, you earned this.
Yes.
Welcome to the team. I love the fact that Clark knows Booster well enough to know, I've got to do this, and also he's accepting the fact that he was one of the people who did look down on Booster. It's funny because you think back to all the different heroes, all have their Booster moments. With Batman, it was when he was looking over the Joker's camera, and he saw all those times that Booster tried to save Barbara, that got caught on Joker's camera. Now, again, another one of those timey-wimey things. And Batman had that, and he kept it to himself until the right point in time, and then he told Booster the truth. So Clark's having his moment with Booster, and I'm pretty sure Diana had one, and I don't remember when it was, but I'm pretty sure all of the Trinity have had their moments. If not, Diana's going to have one eventually. But I love seeing the Booster moment where Clark's like, yeah, you're an actual hero. You're not just a joke.
Some of the things you're touching on actually kind of matches what Mark Waid was talking about on the Legend of Kingdom Come documentary. This is part of the bonus features. Mark was talking about the fact that DC in the 80s with the John Byrne run, post-crisis, they reinvented Superman and modernized him, but they also, the past continuity, Superboy, all the past history and things like that, they cleaned that slate to try and make DC more accessible, which was the idea behind it. But he and Alex Ross were both, they were fans of the Golden Age, fans of the Silver Age, the reprints, all the things that came along the way. And they liked having the toys, the stories in there to be able to pull from, and characters to be able to pull from. And they had to fight to use some of that content for their story. And I think you're touching on exactly where continuity works. If you've read Booster's backstory, you get a lot of things here. There are a lot of feels that come from what this guy went through when he was traveling through time and had that that situation where he had a chance to interact with Killing Joke and so many other key DC events to try and better the situation that was there. I loved that storyline. You don't have to have read it to appreciate what's done here. If you did, it's a value add. And stuff like that is where continuity works. It doesn't have to be one of these things like you don't have to have read everything. It's great when we have conversations like this that you're dropping nuggets like that, because I think they're really fun. Part of the reason why I thought this issue was important to do is something you touched on earlier. I'm figuring there's some people listening to this that maybe didn't read this. Want to just know, like, hey, you should. And it's hard with so many comics out there and time being a factor. Sometimes it's hard to know what to read if you're enjoying an event. So that's why we're starting with some of the backstory. I don't know that we're going to catch every little nugget along the way. And certainly jump into our Facebook group. If there's things we're missing that like we should be including or conversations we should be having around this, please keep this interactive. I'm trying to be as comprehensive as possible, and I'm putting quotes around that just because there's always stories where there's a little bit of this issue that references a little bit of that issue. I don't know that we're going to be able to do all of that, and that's okay, but it's certainly worth, as a collaborative group, all of us together here who are a part of this podcast, because it isn't just Jim and myself. Anybody listen to this is a big factor, especially when you jump on afterwards and go, hey, you guys forgot this, or
yeah.
I love that stuff. I really do. So please feel free if you're listening to this and we missed something and you're screaming at your device, whatever, or however you're listening to us today, please jump into the conversation, because that's really an important part of this one. Because if it's something that we haven't read, or maybe something we should have, or something we should be noting, I want to make sure it's there. I do love this Hall of Heroes, this museum that Booster's going through, and his idea here that he's surrounded by greatness, and that inspiration for him is something cool. When he has that Legion ring on his finger, it is at the time when he first threw that up in this issue, I didn't realize how important that was going to be to this storyline. This is kind of a cool time for us to have done the Life and Death of Pharaoh Lad so recently, just because we're kind of primed on Legion right now, kind of ramped up about it. And then we've got a story that's talking about people that really get messed with. Ooh, boy, there's something going on with the Legion, folks. But I really am enjoying this sense of, I want the membership card. That's where Booster works. Booster's accessible.
Yeah.
And a universe works really well when you've got a mix of characters and you've got those people that are like, I could be Booster Gold. I could make that work. And that type of accessibility and seeing Superman through his eyes is something that really works.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. And I love the fact that, again, the blank card was the one that was in the museum.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing that Booster saw, the blank card, not a specific membership, but the blank card, which is going to come into effect in a couple pages. And I love everything you're saying. Just, again, noticing how big the Legion ring was, how prominent it was here, knowing on what's going to happen with the Dark Side Legion, knowing what's going to happen. I loved seeing this. And again, there are just some great moments of, I love how Booster's like, yeah, so who's on the team? Which one? Thinking, it's just going to be fine. He's not thinking unlimited. And I love this unlimited concept. I think this is, again, one of those great ideas on the heroes should all be there. This is something, bring as many heroes in to the mix as you can.
Here's my favorite line. Of course, bats if we gotta, which is such a Booster line as well. I did like one other thing with the blank card. It was the thing that I geeked out about before. Having that in a museum, if you're a kid with an imagination at all, if you're an adult with imagination at all, you're thinking, could my name be on there? Like, could that happen and that type of thing? That the blank card works on that level.
Yeah.
What do you think about the new Watchtower?
Dude, I like it.
Yeah.
Again, you need a new Justice League Watchtower. Mm-hmm. They're expanding the mission. They need to expand the Watchtower. And I like how, I love the fact that we see it's all the heroes working together. I love the question is their head of security.
I do too.
She's perfect for the job. Come on. And she lost her Gotham City job, so this is a great usage of her.
Really good gig. Yeah. Yeah, I like her quite a bit in that role. I was glad to see Wonder Girl make an appearance, just because I really liked her series, and I'm glad to see her again continuing to be added into the universe and being a part of things like this. She made sense to be part of the team. Tim Drake's costume is super cool. Like, I really like this version of it. I'm a big fan of the one that you and I kind of grew up with the original one with the ninja boots and stuff like that, because I just thought it was just such a really cool take. I'm just glad to see this variation of his that is so reminiscent of that, but yet with a little bit of a modern flair. It works really, really well in this. Yeah. I'm geeked out at his whole appearance as Robin in general in the Batman book. So this is a good time.
It's funny. I always say how I wish they'd have different names. Yeah, because I've thrown it out there a couple times. Yeah, I love how Nightwing is Nightwing, not Robin anymore. And I wish Damian would get his own code name, but his next code name is going to be Batman. Let's be honest. That's his idea. And every so often I think about Tim going with something other than Robin, and I always stop myself.
He's Robin.
Because he so embraces who Robin is. So I'm okay with him continuing on with the name Robin, because he had Drake for a while and this and that, and Red Robin, and it doesn't. He's Robin. I love that he's embraced Robin, and eventually when Damian becomes Batman, because Damian is now the heir apparent, Tim will always be Robin. He will continue on the Robin.
I really enjoy the fact that one of the things I did really well with Tim, and why did Tim work so much better than Jason as Robin? Even though I voted to save his life after the cult, Tim was not Dick Grayson light. They crafted a character from the ground up who was very, very unique. And when he eventually adopted the mantle of Robin, it became his in a very, very different way. Damian had the same thing. Damian was clearly was not another Tim Drake when he was doing it. And that's why it works so well. So I'm with you on the different code names. It is so funny how when Tim gets Robin back and Tim becomes Robin and those pieces, how just comfortable that feels and just how cool that feels. I'm not saying there can never be another Robin. We've seen it with Damian. That worked so well for me. So however the Batman writers choose to use that moving forward, I think the establishment of that concept is super cool. I'm excited to see what Absolute Robin looks like. Yeah. Because I'm guessing that's going to be some wacky thing.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Because if you look in the pages right now, we've seen Absolute Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how that factors into any of this or what he's going to be. But we did get to see him riding a bike.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see, how that looks. But when I still look at this lineup, oh my gosh, what a great this is a geek out lineup of heroes. Everyone from the Captain straight on through. I still want to call him Captain Marvel. It's one of those things that I wish somehow they could work that out, just because that's who he is. Shazam I can go with too, but I always found it very odd that Shazam is his code word to change, and they make it his name. It'd be wouldn't there be a danger? Like, who are you?
Yeah.
Then you accidentally say it.
Yeah. But you have to say it with a Shazam.
Yes. Oh, that's right. As long as he does it. As long as he's right.
Yeah, it's how you say it.
Inflection is everything. Yeah, exactly.
I love when they're all together and it's a welcome to Justice League Unlimited and all the heroes are standing here. I do love the ones who can fly are flying.
Yeah.
Hovering above. But I never knew Dr. Light could fly.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting there like, Dr. Light can fly? When can she? I never knew she could fly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of a neat little thing there.
It is. It's kind of a pretentious little thing too, isn't it? I can fly someone up, maybe a little above everybody else. You gotta do that. Yeah. Dr. Fate can too, and yet he's
what? Captain Marvel can fly.
Yeah.
Shazam can fly. There's a bunch of flyers who are hovering around the ground.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah. But again, I'm seeing guys are
okay. Here's the thing: Guy being up there is pretentious.
Yes,
every bit of that is pretentious.
Yeah,
but it's interesting. I just love the whole lineup.
Oh, God, yeah.
I love the way that they always interpret the Hawk's wings differently, especially since they've been going to some of these tech wings. I actually really like her wings. You know how it's got that color tone?
Yeah, it's got some metallic tone, yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I think that, I'm like, that is a sharp look. I don't know that I haven't noticed that before, but it stood out in this and had a cool pop. If they're going that direction with her for right now, because I love this version of her costume, I'm like, this works for me. I really like the wing. The wings stood out, and I was like, oh, those are cool.
See, I'll be honest with you. I prefer the more metallic-looking wings versus the feather-looking wings, just because, to me, it makes more sense that because it's nth metal and all that kind of stuff. Now, when they do the feather-looking wings, but they make sure that it's actually is nth metal, not feathers, I'm okay with that. But I prefer this kind of tech look to them. Because to me, it better explains how they're able to fly as easily as they do. Because, again, a regular bird flying, if you ever watch a bird fly, their takeoff is not a smooth takeoff. It's still, if they're high and they're dropping and then they fly, it's different. But if they're taking off from the ground, it's not just a simple lift-off like Clark can do. But with the tech-looking wings, to me, it kind of shows it's more of nth metal, anti-gravity kind of flight.
So I get you from the point that it makes sense, right? And so I will not argue with you. I totally agree. Here's where my only argument on that piece and where I stand adamantly. When Carter's wielding that mace and those feather wings look fierce, like something they do with ruffling them and that kind of stuff like that, there are just too many images where it just looks so badass that I'm like, yes, everything you're saying is right. You're 100% correct. It makes more sense the way that you're talking about it. But then you see him coming with those ruffled feathers and that doggone mace and him wielding and angry. And that it's just, it's something that like, I'm just, no, that like that. Yes, that's so then that becomes my favorite, even though from a logical perspective, everything you said's true. So
I get you.
Sometimes the visual look overrides the logic.
I 100% agree with you. Sometimes badass is badass.
Yes, and you got to kind of go with it.
You got to go with it, exactly.
But I'm with you. I noted it with Kendra's. I mean, Kendra's one of my favorite characters. And full disclosure, it really was Kendra and JSA that opened the gateway to my Hawkman love when they introduced her into that series and were developing that character. Then they brought back Carter Hall. I went back and reread things like Hawkworld that I'd read previously through a new lens and really enjoyed it in a different way than I did before, and started going back to some of the older Hawkman stuff that I'd never read before and really just grew to love the character. This was my gateway, was Kendra. So I love this version, and my gosh, does this look cool. It really does look cool. The team that they've got there and kind of the main lead, I like Terrific's role in like kind of as a central figure in all of this. Just referencing, because it was something I think they did really well with him in JSA during John's run, kind of elevating this character and letting him grow. And I feel it works really a great deal seeing him here. He was so good in the movie. I've watched that movie now multiple times, Superman. And boy, Terrific is just one of those characters that he's getting his own team. There's going to be a team. I forget who's going to be on it. It's coming up. There's going to be a terrific team. It's some of those time displaced heroes.
Yeah, are
going to be on a team with Mr. Terrific. So
cool.
Yeah, I think it's called the Terrific 10 or something like that. Please don't quote me on that because it was one of those memes that I saw recently. So how accurate anything I just said is, please take with a grain of salt. But I saw it, and if it's a legit thing, I don't know if it's going to be a series or if it's going to be enveloped into something. I want to read it. I want to.
I'm in. I'm all in on that.
I liked his book, The Terrifics.
Yes, me too. I thought that was a great book. He's one of those great characters that I'm glad to see is getting some screen time. We're seeing him in the different titles, and he makes sense that they would want it. You would want this guy in this kind of leadership role.
Yes, you would.
Yeah, he's one of those people that I would defer to, and I love the fact that Bats defers to him, Superman defers to him, all Wonder Woman, all the Trinity recognize him as somebody that, hey, what's the plan? What's the plan? When Batman's asking you what the plan is, that tells you something about the guy.
Yeah. The man who's master of plans is like...
Yeah, turns to him. So, yeah.
What's interesting is this sets the stage for this pivotal event. This is a epic event. This is something that would be noted in history, Justice League Unlimited forming. Then it goes wrong. And I love that Skeets is like, sir, my records show this is not what happened. And like
time is changing.
Bush is like, duh, Skeets. But this whole thing is going on, and it turns into this whole upside down. I love that the text is upside down. Finally, I will know the truth. Almost matching that mirror that we're going to see later on in the other
Yeah.
Which I really liked the choice over that. And this is all about grabbing the Spectre, finding the Spectre, because he needs the knowledge that the Spectre can give. This whole Dark Side Is thing is going on, is just every magic user is feeling this on a level to 11. And I love as we're seeing the world ripped open, we see the artwork from the back in the front story. Please go ahead.
I love the fact that everything, all the magic users and Hal Jordan, because Hal Jordan was the Spectre for a while there. I love the fact that they're pulling that into there, because first when I'm reading this, I'm like, you see the magic, he's like, wait, that's Hal. He's not a magic.
Right.
And I'm like, the Spectre. Oh, that is awesome.
Great attention to detail.
I cheered when I saw that, man. I cheered. That was brilliant.
Yeah. And those are little things that, like, you don't have to put in there, but when you do, when writers get that right, I don't know how, like, the research that was done to pull this together, I love stuff like that. Yeah. I love that they're all unleashing Omega Beams.
Yeah.
Like, that part was super cool. And that was the Omega Beams, this is when the card gets charged, right?
Yeah. That's when the card gets charged, and that creates the portal for Darkseid to come through.
So I love that this is the Darkseid that's already chopped off his hand.
Yes.
Because we'll see that later, but he's coming in wielding the axe where the stump was been left. And this is quite the look. I mean, Darkseid always looks pretty fierce, but there's times where Darkseid is more, he's got the hands behind his back. He's walking with confidence because he's in charge and he's the lead. He's not always coming in as a combatant. We've seen it. And when you do see it, it's really cool when you get to see it. This is different. I mean, I think this is that to 11 when he comes in with that. I mean, just that whole finally, like, he means business.
Dude, this is one of those badass looks that we were just talking about with Hawkman. This is the Darkseid coming in with a badass look. You got the axe for a hand, just the look on him, just the presence, everything okay. This is beyond what we've always seen on Darkseid. This is Darkseid to an 11, and I love that. I
want an Injustice 3 video game, and I want to be able to play against this Darkseid, like, at some point in time. I just think this would just be a badass villain.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, and it'd be so easy to fit that into that story realm, but, I mean, does it look good? Great artistic choice with him as far as getting everything right. The surge that he felt is what's driving him, this surge. You know, this surge of power is something that I love, that it's so cryptic and that it's a mystery as we're going along in the story. I think that was just really smart storytelling to take you through this piece, because you actually feel what Darkseid's feeling. Like, what surge? What does he mean? What's going on? But you get why that would drive him. It's again a mystery that is directly linked to him that is bothering him, and it's super cool. Skeets is referencing, as this is all going on, this big temporal rift, and the future has changed. And it is like, sir, I don't think we can go home. You know, coming from the future, I mean, that's an interesting sort of piece of, even if you're far flung into the past, you always want to be able to have a home to go back to. This is Back to the Future kind of stuff, where they went to the future in 2, and it was a very, very different world. Yes. This is like, you guys think you did a different world? Man, buckle up. Batman's suit was sweet. Like, when did he change into that? And I mean, which is an example of like how he's got like stuff on the Watchtower just ready to go. Because this is Battle Gear Batman. Like, I want that action figure.
Yes, me too.
Because I just love the whole look. I'm like, he looks like he is ready for I've got Darkseid battle armor on. He knows that this is a mega level event, and I am ready to be a part of this. I can't just sit on the sidelines.
You know, and again, you go back to the sequence when they first have breach, where Batman's like, we have a breach. Security protocols activate. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm wondering if the security protocols he's talking about is the Omega level armor. If that's like one of those, armors that's the nanobots that's just a transformer kind of, where it just pops up on him. Now, granted, he's talking about Watchtower battle protocols, but I do wonder if Batman's got an automated system for this kind of stuff to do the exact change you're talking about.
Did you read the Absolute Evil special?
No, I haven't yet.
So I recommend it. I'm going to give you a little tease right now. That sequence where Batman's yelling fight.
Yeah.
There's somebody in that picture I'm very happy to see.
Okay.
And I'm going to leave it at that. Because that won't mean anything to you until you read Absolute Evil. But there's somebody there that I'm very happy to see. I just read it and I was like, did they just, what?
Okay, now I've got to read that.
Yeah. No, the Absolute Universe is fantastic. And
Dude.
I think what I'm digging now is it's more connected. I like the way it's I like every way that it's connected. I also like every way it's disconnected. Like everything that they're doing right now in that is really cool. And I'm just, the Absolute Evil special, do not sleep on that one. Because it sets the stage for something that's a major difference in the Absolute Universe. That I don't want to say too much more other than that. It hit me enough that I'm looking at a panel and I'm like, oh, so good to see that person.
Yes, cool.
And that I love. Everybody lumping around Darkseid, and he's like sitting there saying, if it's a fight you want, so be it. But you will tell me what's been hidden from me. So he feels like this has been done to him, and to a certain extent he's right. It's the universe that's done this to him as far as his role as like this cosmic being. We talk about the gods and them having roles. When you think about Mercury and all the gods, when you start labeling them off, they have a purpose, and their stories were driven for a purpose. The new gods are no exception to that. And I love that Darkseid's now, there's the realization of, he thought he knew what his role was, but in the end of the day, it does make you feel smaller, doesn't it? When you're like,
yes,
I am a victim of fate. This is what the universe is going to keep doing to me. I'm destined to always go through this cycle. No matter what I do differently, no matter how much power I attain, it's always going to be this. And I love that this has broken up a reality to him of, but does it have to be that way? And that's what his whole quest is here. He's looking for answers.
Yeah.
And then ultimately the answers are leading him to but what if? And we're seeing that here. This is so very cool. And there's a reason here when you say Justice League Unlimited. Why do they need all of these people? This right here, this event, like it's that is confidence when you're like, I'm looking for the Spectre, so I'm going to go where they're all gathered. Yes. I know he's recognizing them as all a little bit weaker because of the fact they just come off of the Amanda Waller piece, but they are all gathered together in one spot. And he's like, I'm going to plop in now.
Yeah.
And this is when I'm going to get my answers. When the entire Justice League is gathered together in one spot. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I loved just seeing them, the full on everybody hitting him, and he's like, yeah, go on. And while that's going on, the magic users you're gathering, okay, we got to come up with a plan to separate them. We need time. And of course, who leads the charge? You got Wonder Woman and Batman attacking Darkseid to give them the time. They know they can't take him by themselves, but they're like, we can stall him. And I love that kind of concept on a team dynamic where you're like, okay, we're not going to win this fight, but we can slow them down. It's the Alamo situation. The famous Battle of the Alamo. Mm-hmm. The reason the Alamo happened was because the enemy moving through, and the Alamo was a way to slow down the advancing army so that the rest of the Union forces could gather and actually do a formal stop of them. Everyone who was in the Alamo knew, I am going to die today. And that was the thing. He said, we have no chance of winning. We are going to die. They outnumber us like 100-1. But every day we slow them down is a day we give the rest of the people a chance to gather their forces. And I always love that mindset of a hero saying, I'm going down, but I'm going down swinging. I'm giving you the time to stop him. And that for me is always, that's one of the things about Diana I always love about her, that she's going to be the first one to jump in there and take on that suicide mission.
Which is what Darkseid was counting on.
Yes.
Because the Spectre was resisting up until the lasso.
Yep.
I love every minute of that. That was such a brilliant strategy. It's like she's going to do this and she's got that lasso and I'm looking for the truth. He's not giving it to me. This is the only way it's going to happen. It all worked out to his advantage. After that happened, he was hoping for he wanted to be defeated.
Yeah. He needed to be defeated.
Yes. And soundly defeated. Yes. Yeah. So
I love that. Again, brilliant writing. Everything you said where he's like, men may fear your lasso of truth, but not dark side. Mm-hmm. The truth is all I was after this today. Now I have found it, and it is glorious. I love how they did that. That for me was an absolutely brilliant writing, and I love the fact that the heroes, even in the middle of this, obviously we've got hindsight because we're sitting back here. In the middle of this, you're not going to see any of this. You're not going to know they're playing into dark side plan. And again, even on my end at least, it took me a minute to realize what exactly happened. It wasn't until the Omega side of the story that I completely understood, oh, that's why they did that. Oh, that's brilliant.
Look at the worlds in the background as he's ending, where it's dark side ends, and there's the two worlds in the background. Dark side ends, thank you. And just this idea behind it, and even leading to Orion sitting over here basically saying, dark side is a constant. All of creation needs a dark side. If he's truly gone, the universe will create a new one. And that's the interesting part. Dark side ended, but what does coming back actually look like? And the whole Elseworld thing, where we're now seeing that we've got this Elseworld that's out there, this specific extra world that's been created, which that's the absolute universe, right? Is that what we're talking about with the Elseworld?
That's the absolute universe.
Okay. Which, I mean, I know it's kind of like, sounds like a weird question, but it's more just my own clarification for myself. I've been running on that theory. I just want to make sure. Am I the only one thinking that? That's what we're talking about.
No, that's what I'm 100% right along with you thinking that as well.
Yeah. So, and there's something very, very, I really love this idea that this alpha world is something that's very, very different. Spinning out of Dark Knight's metal or Dark Knight's death metal. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Death metal.
And just seeing that whole piece, setting the stage for somebody needs to see what's going on. And who do they got on their team? The logical person is the guy who's able to jump between time.
Yep.
It would be Booster. This all makes sense for him. This is like a normal journey that he goes on.
Well, and again, I love how they really do explain this, that it has to be a time traveler. Mm-hmm. It has to be somebody who's got the tachyon part, who has an abundance of the tachyon particles.
Right.
And it's got to be someone who's displaced from time, because this world is now different. Because, again, and I love the explanation they give. They make it very clear and understanding how each universe has its own vibration. Each universe has its own energy. This one doesn't have a vibration energy. This one has settled to dark side.
Yeah.
So it's not just anybody going in there. You've got to be able to traverse different energies.
Yeah.
You need, and I love how within one page, they give us a quick explanation. And then again, the power of the page flip. I love the fact that it's Booster coming in. It's like, you need someone like me. I love the fact that Booster's going in there saying, hey, this is what I got to do. This is why I'm on this team.
Yep.
And I love seeing this Booster who is, I'm a hero. This isn't about likes. This isn't about give me a good send-off. This is about I'm the guy who do the job. And even when he's cracking jokes, basically because he's about to he's jumping from a frying pan into the fire, he's willing to admit, just hyping myself up, Bats, I'm gone. And even throws out the little line, don't tell Ted. He worries too much. Just a little joke there as he's jumping into the fire, because he's terrified right now. Because anybody with any resonance of intelligence would be terrified doing what he's doing.
That makes him a hero, though.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the areas where I'm like, wow, I admire him for what he's doing there. Because he's still going ahead. He's not reluctant about doing it, to use one of your favorites.
Yeah.
But yet, he's scared, and he should be. And I think it's an example. I think somebody's more heroic when they're expressing fear and you can clearly see fear, but yet their determination is still carrying them through. They know it's the right thing to do and they're going to do it anyway. We don't know. And I was like looking on the panels. Do we see anywhere where Skeets separates? We don't see what happens to Skeets.
No, we don't.
And I like that mystery. I mean, I don't think we've seen, to my knowledge, we have not seen Skeets yet. And if I'm wrong out there, anybody out there listening has seen, because you haven't seen Skeets, have you?
I'm like with you. I don't see where Skeets goes, and I've got a theory on where Skeets is.
There's a 20-part miniseries coming. The Search for Skeets.
I'm in.
Oh, here's the sad part. I would read that so quickly. I might be one of 5 that would read that so quickly, but I would read that story. I like Skeets, so I'm in.
Well, I've got a theory on Skeets.
It might be a DC Go thing. On the app. I'm sorry, you got your theory on Skeets. You're okay. Yeah, you're being a lot more logical about this than I am currently.
Well, yeah.
Like that. Well, yeah. That's why I had to say it first. It takes the sting out.
Okay. So you think about it. The future has changed, because it has changed now.
Yeah.
The tech that created Skeets wouldn't exist. So when Booster's going back to this world would not have the tech that created Skeets.
How? Here's my question. Oh, so he's zapped out of existence?
I think so.
Why?
Now, I'm hoping I'm wrong.
No,
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Skeets is here, trapped somehow, separated from him, and we're going to later on in the story see the return of Skeets.
But Booster would still exist, but the tech wouldn't.
Right.
Okay. I don't think it's a bad theory.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it, but here's the thing. I don't like it emotionally. I like it logically. Like, I think you're onto something that might be the case. But man, when you take a look at that world, see now, but he's on the absolute world, right? He didn't go to our future, didn't he? Go to the Elseworlds?
He went to the Elseworlds, yeah. So in the Elseworlds, the Elseworlds future doesn't have Skeets.
Because this Legion then is their Legion.
Is the Absolute Universe Legion.
So where's ours?
I don't know.
I'm intrigued by all of this. Because, right, he's left our world, he's gone to their world. Or is this our, I'm so confused. That's the part I'm really confused about right now, because I'm looking at this.
Because, okay, so initially I'm thinking yes, but now I'm thinking.
Did he go to our future?
He went to the current universe's future. And the reason I'm thinking that is some of the discussions we're going to have in Superman.
Wait, the multiverse, I used to say. No, he's going to that world. Because this is all about, it's the chaotic vibrations of that world, right?
Yeah.
So they're still talking about the Alpha world, right? This Elseworld.
Yeah, he's going into the Alpha world, which we're both assuming is the absolute universe.
So that's where he is. He's in that future. He's not in our future. He's in that future, right?
Well,
he traveled through time, because only time travelers can go there because of the tachyon particles and all that piece. So they're still talking about, because of the chaos, Darkseid's chaotic energy that's there, that only time travelers can go there. So that would be like him, Barry Allen, people like that, right? Isn't that what we're referring to? So he's going to their world, right?
I believe so. Yes.
So that goes me back to my question. Where's our Legion?
I don't know if
Where is our Legion?
Where is our Legion?
I don't think this is our Legion.
No, I think what we have here is this is the Alpha World Absolute Universe.
Mm-hmm.
This is present day Absolute Universe, not future. This Legion that we have is pulled from the future of this world to this current universe. So this is present. That's why we have the Daily Planet there.
I still think that's the future. That's the future Daily Planet.
Wait,
here's the reason why. We're reading the Absolute books. It doesn't look like that.
True.
Okay. This is the future, and this is if this is the Absolute Universe. So let's throw that.
This is the future of that. Yeah.
This is the future. It's the future of one of the two worlds.
Yes. He
went somewhere in the future. I'm taking this as the future of the Absolute Universe. I actually love people's thoughts on this. Where are you guys at in this? What do you think this is? Because I'm intrigued by this. It's why I wanted to talk about this so much when I reread it. I'm like, we need to talk about this because I think I know what's going on.
My first read on this thought it was future Absolute Universe. And then I started backtracking, and now I'm going back to that again, by the way. I think Booster Gold right now is currently in the future version of the Absolute Universe.
Right.
And I'm going to throw away what I said about Skeets. I think just the tech that brought him there separated him and Skeets.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Skeets is still in the future of the Absolute Universe, separated from Booster. And I'm hoping in the story arc, we're going to see Skeets return. I'm hoping for that.
Something timey-wimey happened, too, because there's the blip where they're like sitting there. We shouldn't have let him go alone. We've waited long enough. We need to find a way to follow him. If Booster's lost, we will. Then there's that phasing that happens there. It's almost like Skeets has been taken out of time. Booster's been taken out of time because they're going back to, we're going there, correct? And Batman's like, advise against it. That means from their perspective, that didn't happen, right?
Yes, Booster Gold is now no longer in time.
He's time lost.
He's time lost. And so anything that Booster affected is now gone.
Okay.
Booster Gold never existed in this universe.
That's how I'm reading it, too.
That's how I'm reading it as well.
Yeah. I love that we don't actually see Darkseid. He sees Darkseid, and we see Darkseid's shadow over him. That was a good move.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. And I love the fact that when he sees it, they get a close-up of the ring.
Yeah.
Oh, no. That ring. Oh, no. I finally have my Legion. I'm like, oh, shoot. And you see giant Darkseid and then his Legion. And I was like, damn, that is awesome. That is impressive.
So the second half of this story, and I love the art change because it's got some Kirby elements to it. You know, kind of going back to the New Gods.
Yeah.
And the original Kirby stuff when he came over to DC. This is certainly very reminiscent. I'm not saying it's cookie cutter to that, but I'm saying there's definitely an intention to jump back to what that looks like. Where Darkseid's putting together a machine using a lot of different technology, including Legion technology, to start discovering what's going on. To the point, dude, I don't care how much power I want. I'm not chopping off my hand to make that happen. I like that he chops off his hand to get the ball rolling, but it's not enough. So we got somebody here. How about Calabac?
I love the fact that he's like, oh yeah, you're my blood. And he punches the stump through him.
Yes.
Not his other arm. He punches the stump through him. I'm like, oh, that is awesome. But I'll tell you, here's the thing with me in this art style. And again, it's absolutely brilliant. It's wonderful art. It looks brilliant. And as you said, it ties back to that Kirby art style. So I completely love it. And I see how it is. It was a bit of a shock for me. And I think it's supposed to have that shock. Going from the one art style, it's a brilliant one. So again, that shock of, whoa, we got a different look here. I love the fact that it had that jarring effect on me. Mm-hmm. And it did take me a couple pages to get into the groove of this art style. Because it was such a dramatic difference for me. And again, I prefer the other art style over this one. I'm getting it. It's brilliant. I love this art style, but personal preference is the other one. But I really do love the fact that they used the dramatic difference as that jarring factor because of everything going on in this story arc. And I think this needed to look like this for this story to be told. If the same art team before it created this one, it would still look brilliant, but there is something about this art style really telling this backstory on Darkseid and how he creates his wish machine and all that stuff, his miracle machine.
I loved the nod to Kirby in what they did, while at the same time doing their own spin on it. I think I'm always fans of it. Does not come off as Kirby light. It comes off as its own thing, but definitely an homage in all of the right ways. The army, I love that these new parademons are there. You know, the idea that we have now taken the fiercest species to make this new layer of the army. The paradevils. They're over there where they're from Daxamites, Caesarians, the White Martians. I love that choice and that they're definitely going to be next level. This is setting the stage for the plan, though. What was Darkseid's? They're like, hey, these heroes are weak. Let's go take them down right now. And Darkseid's like, no, I need their knowledge. He's already touched at this point by whatever happened to let him know about the energy that's out there that he's been giving up. He's already touched by that. And I love that, like, everyone's looking at him and going, hey, What happened to you? We've never seen you like this before. Who catches onto it pretty quickly, though? Granny Goodness.
Yes.
She's like sitting here, no. And I'm used to them always calling him Darkseid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting going.
That threw me, his calling him by his name.
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
Yeah. Now, how is that pronounced? UX? UCAX?
Yes.
Okay. How are you pronouncing it? Because I'm just...
UXS? I don't know. I'm trying to sound it out poorly.
Yeah, I know.
Here's the thing. Here's the problem. I do that poorly every episode.
Yeah.
So it's like we're just adding him into the mix. I don't know how it's pronounced. I just liked it. I like the touch. The touch is like, this is different. We now are pulling back. We're trying to hit him on a personal level because in Houston, something's going wrong here.
And I do love that Grail's in the mix as well.
Oh, I love that.
She's not the traditional New God story, but she is Darkseid's daughter. And I love the fact that she's in this. She's now part of all the regular plans. And again,
it says, so hey, I did a search online just for how do you pronounce it, and it says Yuxus.
Yuxus?
I don't know what they're basing that on. That was when I did a Google search for how do you pronounce UXAS? And Yuxus is what it comes up as. So I don't know if that's the intention. So I'm just throwing that out there.
I'm good with that.
And also, there's another one, Uxus.
I like Yuxus better.
I do too. I do too.
Yeah.
It sounds more respectable.
Yes.
I don't know. If anybody knows what the actual pronunciation is supposed to be, please throw it out there. Oh, they said Uxus being the pronunciation used by comic creator Jim Lee. So Uxus.
Well, then, okay, I guess we got Uxus.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm going to go with Jim Lee.
Yeah.
So we're wrong.
We're wrong.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell Jim Lee that what we're saying sounds cooler. So we think it's Uxus.
Yeah.
We think it's Uxus. I'm going to call him the artist formerly known as Darkseid. Just to play it safe. I think we're going to go with that one.
I like that better. There you go. Now, again, I love that Meg is sacrificed for the Miracle Machine. And I'm wondering, again, when this story is finalized, said and done, what is the universe going to look like? I don't know. I do wonder if we're not going to have a Calabac in this universe going forward. And it's kind of neat. And again, I love the reaction of his other children, his minions, and they're like, what have you done? They didn't watch him kill his son, throw him on a machine, and bonding is now complete. And I love the fact that was part one.
Yes.
This is multiple phasing. And again, Darkseid's a man of strategy. He's got part one, part two. He's going down the line. First part was get the Miracle Machine online and bonded to him. It will only work for him, nobody else. So check box number one. And then you start saying, okay, what's box number two? Oh, yeah, he starts in hell.
With a plan to assault hell.
Yes.
And they're like basically sitting there saying, listen, whatever you need, like you want to cause pain to people, you want to cause suffering against your enemies, you want to engage in hate, we got you. We'll give you like whole armies for that. Like, and why are you doing this? And I love it. Everybody's calling him by his name.
Yes.
Like, now, how did they know how to pronounce it? How did they know? I want to find that piece out because everyone's been calling him Darkseid for any. I mean, I remember this being his name, but I mean, that's not something that regular people are familiar with calling him on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, everybody's his best buddy, and they're appealing to him using his real name. How did they know? Like, where?
Yeah, I know.
Like in the pronunciation piece, and when did how that's not going to tick him off?
Yeah, see, that could be just enraging him even more.
Yeah,
I do love the fact that he's just there for one purpose.
I know. Where is he? Yeah. Where's the Spectre?
Like, he's not here, and then he leaves. And again, it's showing the focus, the 100% pure focus that Darkseid has. He wants the Spectre. That's all he wants. That's all he needs. Give him what he wants, and he leaves. Or if you 100% don't have him, then he leaves. I love the fact that he first starts off in hell, then goes to heaven.
Yeah.
And the forces of heaven are being trashed by Darkseid.
We got Zoriel, who's awesome. I mean, it was so cool to see Zoriel here. I mean, that harkens back to Morrison's JLA run. And Zoriel's a great character. And boy, he just makes mincemeat out of all that whole situation pretty quickly. And Eclipso to me is the biggie.
Yeah.
Oh, like I love the tete-a-tete where Eclipso's just cocky and laughing because he just is not. He's like, what do you think you're going to do here? Oh, come on. All right. It's your move. Go ahead and make your move.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do that. He's got a boom tube at the ready to fry Eclipso in order to get what he wants. I mean, that whole piece was, you talk about strategy. Like, here's the thing. Batman's always trying to up his game. He may want to study a little bit more dark side strategy here because that dude's got some stuff going on. I mean, this was Batman's got files. I don't think Batman's got files like this.
Yeah. Well, and I love the fact that it's not only a boom tube on ready, it's a boom tube on a timer that he started when he landed. So he wouldn't have to do anything.
What if it's one of those twisting oven timers?
Yeah. But I love the fact that Eclipso's laughing, going, hey, we're in the dark side here. You've got nothing. I am the master here. Is like, oh, really? Well, how about a boom tube in the heart of a dog star, the brightest sun in the whole galaxy? Checkmate.
Yes. Yeah. Then we finally get to Jim Corrigan. And I love that the Quintessence shows up, and this is his whole battle to bond with the Spectre. And the Quintessence does everything they can to try and stop him, but he had a plan for the Quintessence already. Yeah, and that miracle machine, the whole point of the machine was so that he knew the Quintessence would insert themselves, and he could not let them get in the way of his master plan, which was ultimately to get a hold of the Spectre to find out the truth. All of this is just to find out the truth. It's not really to do anything except find answers. His reaction to those answers doesn't come till later, because he doesn't know what he's reacting to yet. Right. Which is such an interesting sort of piece off of this. I loved the art style on the ripping of the Spectre from Jim Corrigan.
Yeah.
And
oh God, dude, that looks brilliant.
It just really, really cool. It just had this sense of power, leading us to see the fight from a very different perspective.
And I love how they changed the lettering.
Yes.
Because again, once he bonds with Spectre, Darkseid's lettering changes. And if you go back to the original Alpha story, you'll see it has that different Spectre styling to it.
Yeah.
So they did the lettering there as well. And again, everything you said about it, I love the fact that we now see that other fight from this point of view. It's kind of like now the rest of the story.
Yeah.
God, this for me was a brilliant storytelling tool.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that I wanted this until we got to see it, and seeing the fight and his perspective on Superman over there, because at this point in time, it's a known quantity that Superman's hope, he embodies that. We're talking about these agents, right, of certain kinds of emotion, certain kinds of balance. Superman brings balance of a certain extent, and it explains so much the attacks on Darkseid and what it looks like. The reality of that role of Darkseid being revealed there, and just the historical ebb and flow, like seeing it happen, Darkseid seeing his history over and over again, every fight he would have, the confrontation with Batman that he had, all of that stuff playing out was just so cool. Finally seeing what he is. And I love that the messaging right from the beginning, straight on through the storyline, has been, think about what you are. You are so important to the universe because you provide this balance all over the place. And him defying that and saying, but I want more. I want something else. I don't want to be carved up and parts, my power, my essence and everything to be shoved all around the universe. I want it all.
And I love the realization that the multiverse will come back. The omniverse that is out there is going to come back again.
Yes.
And there was that one really cool realization, because right now everything's sealed off, but it's going to come back. And just that whole thing, just be patient. Now, don't tell Darkseid to be patient, because he has no patience with anything. He wants more. He wants more. And I love the fact that this is all feeding into who Darkseid is. And everything you said about just showing all these past battles and how, again, it's going to happen again and again and again. I love the fact that we get the moment when he actually says, "Thank you, Darkseid ends." He's not talking to the heroes. He's talking to the Spectre. Because even in the alpha story, it was, I think, Hal who's like, "Did Darkseid just thank us?" No, he wasn't thanking you. He's thanking the Spectre. I love that.
Well, yes and no. I think he was thanking them as well because they yanked the Spectre from him, which allowed his death. So I think it's both. I think you're right, but I don't think it's as simple as that. I think he was thanking everybody in the room. Hey, thank y'all for playing a part of this game. Because ultimately, it puts him in this position where, and I love that it's a nod back to George Perez.
Yeah.
The Darkseid's hand holding that. This makes me more convinced that this is definitely the Legion of the Absolute Universe. Because right here, this is the birth of the Absolute Universe, and how these heroines and heroes here are being raised in a very different way. Instead of Diana being raised in paradise, she's being raised in hell. Batman, where all of his advantages are gone, and small chaos instead of the system itself. And Superman being
Hope is the underdog.
Yeah,
as opposed to the Hope is the thing. And I love the fact that, and again, I was always the arguer. The one between the two of us who was against calling it absolute. I actually now understand why they're calling it absolute. This is the absolute of evil. This is the absolute of Darkseid. This is the absolute universe of Darkseid's creation. And I'm like, oh, damn, it now makes sense. That is awesome. I love this. I now am a big fan of the actual title. I love the Absolute Universe. So don't everyone think I didn't like those stories. I love that. I thought it was cool. I just was like, they could have gone with a different name. And I never was able to come up with a different name.
Here's the thing. Now, when we had that debate, I had read this already. You hadn't.
I hadn't read this. No. So then I would have been like, yes, this is great.
So it's funny. You're referencing the fact that I was much more comfortable with the idea of the absolute part. I didn't know then that you never read it. I read this when it came out. Now
I've never read this.
It is, I've got to say, if you read this when it came out and you have not revisited it in light of everything that's come since, this is a great time to reread it because I feel like so much more of it makes sense to me now. I feel like this is a very heady story in all the right ways.
Yes.
I love this line right here. It is reality where I can finally become what I was meant to be. Where I am unleashed, where I may grow 1,000 feet tall, where my voice will shake planets, a reality where Darkseid will be. And when I am him, I will return for that other world and crush it. That's what's leading me to believe he's pulling his legion from this world to come back to our world to crush it.
Yes.
And that's totally where I'm at on this one. Especially, I think this backstory is further emphasizing that. Booster showing up, and we get to see the other perspective of Booster showing up here, I think is really, really good, seeing it again. His finding Darkseid and us finally seeing this twisted legion that is there, they look really impressive.
Yes.
I mean, seeing them all as a team and what they've done with them, even the Brainiac. That's Brainiac, right?
It's the Brainiac of this one.
Yeah. I mean, this is quite the team that they've got here. I really like this version of them. I can't wait. They've got to go up against our Legion, right?
Dude,
something's going on with our Legion. We've got to see what's going on with our Legion.
I 100% think it's going to be a Legion fight.
I hope
it's going to be the war of the Legion. And again, we know that the good guys are going to win because they're not going to run a continued comic universe of the bad guys.
Right.
Now, how they win, I don't know. When they win, I don't know. This is one of those things where we don't know what is going to happen. And I love the fact that we don't know where this is going to play out. How are they going to do this? I'm so again, it was funny. I was enjoying the idea of DCKO. I was enjoying it. I'm like, oh, okay, this would be kind of neat. I was thinking it was just going to be just a good way to do a crossover with fights and between the heroes. Okay, that's all. Those are fun to read. Now I'm seeing, oh no, there's an actual story going on with this thing. Again, I hadn't read this preview. I'm smacking myself in the head going, why didn't I read this? I remember seeing that cover going, oh, this is going to be a cool read. And then for whatever reason, I never read it. So now that I've read it, now that I see how much the Absolute Universe is in, how much what's going to happen with the DC KO, how much that's going to be playing into this, there's a lot going on here. This is a well-crafted, full-on event. And I am so pumped for it now. I was looking forward to it. I'm excited for it now.
Yeah.
There's a level of energy after reading this that has gone up a notch. So again, this is on the app, everybody. So if you have the app and you didn't read it, grab it. Read it. It's a must read. One, because it's enjoyable. This is a brilliant story. But two, it's gotten me so excited for DCKO that it's a whole nother level. So I'm so glad you said, hey, we should probably cover this. I'm like, oh yeah, sure.
Well, I figured I was going to jump right to DCKO. And I was ready to do it. We've got some issues leading up directly to DCKO that we're going to talk about. This is actually going to be probably, by the time we're done, a 4-part look at this. Just because of the fact that we're going to touch on some Prelude material outside of, we're doing Superman next episode, 3 issues of Superman. And then we're going to be jumping up to DCKO #1 and a couple of issues that are leading into DC. And then some of the tie-ins, because there's been some tie-ins this month that are going to be a part of this as well. So we're going to be doing full coverage of DCKO along the way. We're going to be doing episodes focused on the event and the tie-ins. So that way, by the time we're done, if you ever want to go back, or if you want to listen along and listen to the whole thing when it's done, we're going to put together a whole series that is going to be able to do like multiple episodes just listening to DCKO stuff, with this being the prelude. Speaking of things we need to talk about, you ready to jump over to the Summer of Superman special?
Oh, God, yeah.
Our next discussion is going to be the Summer of Superman special #1, The Past, the Present, the Future. The writers are Mark Waid, Chapter 1, Dan Slott, Chapter 2, Joshua Williamson, Chapter 3. The artist is Jorge Jimenez. Art finishes Chapter 3, Belen Ortega. The epilogue artist is Dan Mora. The letterer is Dave Sharp. Cover artists are Jorge Jimenez and Tormiu More. The variant cover artists are Mohammed Asar. It's Sassrar. I know I'm leaving something out there. And Matthias Lopez, John Chang, Alexander Lozano, Chrissy Zulo Uminga, Dan Jurgens, Norm Ratman, and Hi-Fi. The assistant editor is Jillian Grant. The editor is Paul Kaminsky. Superman created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Supergirl based on characters created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Superboy created by Jerry Siegel by special arrangement with the Jerry Siegel family. Woof, that was a mouthful, but done with love and apologies for name butchery. Case in point, same thing as Uxas and whatever, however we're choosing to pronounce that. This one was one that we were not planning on talking about today. Then I did a reread of it, especially with the Validus story that's contained within, and felt like we really should, because this is another example of a lead-in that's pretty substantial. This special was meant to be an opening salvo of Superman events that the 3 issues we're going to cover next episode really built from this. We were going to start talking some of those 3 issues on this episode, and this really should be the starting point based on it. And I didn't want to just talk about the parts that are relevant, because I feel this is just a great Superman story. We talk about the John Byrne era of Man of Steel and the reboot of Superman, and during that time, they had taken out of play Superboy as a concept. He was not Superboy as a kid. That didn't happen. This has over the recent years, they brought back in Superboy again. The idea that Superman was Superboy. This Chapter 1 is such a geek out for me, because I think we've all been there in life. You meet that girl. It's that one, or if you're a girl, you met that guy, and you're thinking that's your future and all your plans are leading towards that particular piece. And I love for him, this was the girl. This was the girl in Smallville. Lana's sweet. She's pretty. All of those pieces that are in there. She's his friend. He's already opened up to her in so many ways that he probably doesn't open up to a whole lot of people, especially with who he is. And I just love everything about the artwork on this, the nature of it. the way that they do the storytelling with Lana, showing who she is as a person, not just when they're sitting here on the porch, but the stuff she does around the community as far as why she's the pretty girl who's popular that everybody likes, but yet she's just genuinely kind. And it's like what's like you're looking for flaws. Like there's got to be something wrong with her. And man, is it hard to find something. This is an example of a very well crafted character where you can see why he's the one. Like I can tell her things. I want to open up to her. I'm building my future towards hopefully it's going to be Lana and me. This is Superman who's like sitting here stumbling over himself because he's at that age. And when we talk about accessibility of Superman, this is where he's human.
Yes.
And I just dig when we get to see Superman at this stage. You can relate to this kid and who he is. This is really well written.
Oh, God, yeah. And again, it's the awkward 16-year-old with the very pretty girl that he is hopelessly head over heels in love with. Mm-hmm. And I love that they made sure to let everybody know, yeah, she's beautiful. But she's also just the sweetest, wonderful person. She volunteers at the VA, sends postcards overseas to service members, which if you've never done that, you have no idea how much it means to service people overseas, to get packages, get letters, even if it's from a complete stranger. Because when you're overseas, it's the mail call and you don't get anything, you do feel it all. Okay. But it does hit you. So when you get something, hey, that's cool. So the fact that she does that, then she helps out with the elderly. She does all this stuff. And I love the fact that they made sure to lay out, because again, I always talk about Lois Lane, why I love the Lois and Clark relationship, because we have this man with godlike powers who's in love with this mere mortal, but she's not a mere mortal. She's Lois frickin' Lane, who is a rock star, who is awesome. You gotta give me that same kind of vibe with Lana. You gotta show why would Superboy, why would this person who can fly and do all the things you can do would be in love with this small town girl? Well, it's not just because she's pretty, it's because she's an amazing person as well. It's gotta be more than just the physical looks. There's gotta be something else that pulls in Clark, because that in his heart and soul is who Clark is. He's a good person who looks for the good in people, who sees the good in people. And when he finds somebody who also is that special quality, yes, this is why he's attached to her. This is why he's bonding with Lana Lang. I love seeing a couple of pages just to make sure to spread why is Clark in love with this girl, and again, it's not just the looks. I love how they have her drawn. She looks absolutely pretty. I love that they did that. They made sure to say, hey, she's not just a nice person. She's stunning looking. And I love the fact that they made sure to go through that they give you the full package that is Lana Lang. And I love seeing that. That was absolutely impressive. And I love the fact that right as he's getting ready to tell her, the artist does the taking off the glasses, which is always just that traditional stories when Clark is telling somebody the truth, he takes off the glasses for dramatic effect. And he's getting ready to do that. And I love that they did that in this story.
I do too. The artistic choices were really, really well done. One of the things I really loved about this is the charm of Smallville. Like, I want to hang out in Smallville.
Yeah.
And I think there's something important about that when you look at DC cities. Smallville's one that I would love a Superman game where we get a chance to run around in Smallville. I'd like it to be an RPG, like one where there's a long-form Superman story where you get those opportunities in Smallville. You get to solve crime, stop crime in Smallville, things like that. But to me, the dream would be hanging out somehow in Smallville. We get great action games with these superheroes. I mean, especially my best Superman games that I've played over the years have been side-scrollers, which are fun. I love them. And, I mean, they're good games, but I want the ones where you can actually have these moments, these interactions, some great storytelling. The open-world Spider-Man games that have been done recently and the open-world Batman games, open-world-ish Batman games that have been done have been really, really good. A Superman game, I'd like them to play around with an RPG, like an actual true, tried and true RPG where you can do this.
Yeah.
And have moments like this. I mean, you obviously got to have some form of action that happens, but you do in this. Like, dude, tell me, like, playing this in an RPG, then it leading to a Validus battle wouldn't be so sweet. Like, right when you're getting to that point where you're going to say something to her, Validus shows up, and you've got to then fight that battle. And hopefully your Superboy is powered up enough that you can withstand the onslaught that is Validus.
Yeah. Well, Superboy and Crypto.
Yeah. Wait.
I love whenever they bring Crypto in.
And Crypto as your companion in the game. Oh my gosh, and I would keep Crypto with both young and adult Superman because of the fact that you can like level up Crypto along the way. I mean, this is like a ready-made game. I don't know why nobody's done this. Yeah. Like, this writes itself. Like, I'm not like some architect of games or anything like that, but I love role-playing games. And it's not a want, it's a need. Somebody make this and do it well, because this is really, really awesome. I love that he's ready to tell Lana, and you're right, the glass is coming off. I love that through the glasses we see Validus. Yeah. That is a great framing. I love when artists come up with clever ways to use framing. And what I loved is the whole art team. Because of the filtering that they use, where it looks like it's through the glasses. Like, that was sweet. Dude,
I'll tell you, I love this story, but this art team right along, this is again one of those things where this is the perfect look for this book. This is 100% the perfect art team for this storytelling. Mm-hmm. And this is a thing where the written word, the script, and the artwork, oh my God, this break here is absolutely brilliant. I love how they came together. And I love the bad excuse, a stomachache, I need antacids. And even Lana's like, he should have stock in that company. You can just see she's used to him having a stomachache, or she's used to like, Clark. And then you see the red slur coming out the window as he's in costume, called Superboy. Okay, let's take care of Validus.
Superboy with Crypto on that opening page. I love the Smallville billboard in the background. It's something from the TV show. I loved it. I loved it before then in comics. I just found the charm of Smallville, the welcome to Smallville. There's even see Smallville like part of the print on the water tower. I just love the atmosphere that is Smallville when you see it. The Validus fight is really cool because this does show a maturity to Superboy. He's fought Validus before. He's fought him with the Legion. In our story that we just got to do with Life and Death of Pharaoh Lad, we got to see that Validus isn't all bad, and there's reasons to reason with Validus. What we're not realizing here, and this plays into some of the storytelling that we're seeing in All In and will be seeing going forward, Validus is very ramped up here. And the assumption is that Validus is coming after Superboy. Validus is coming after Superman. That's not the whole story here. And that's why Superboy's having trouble even having a conversation, like, not that Validus is a conversationalist, but trying to calm down this version of the Hulk. And I do love that about Validus. The time portal that they're pulled through, where Superboy is pulled through various eras of time, not just his own timeline, but other eras of life, where he's able to see the past, the present, and the future. And I love that he's like, I don't really have time to be watching this slideshow that's running around me right now. But he does catch glimpses of things around him. I love the first handshake with Batman, different things like that are their key moments in the Daily Planet. But the one that catches his eye is his adult self. Yeah. And I love that's already in here is the fact that the Legion put in this thing, and I love this storytelling trick. It was because she is able to teach him mental tricks. They put a mental block so that he won't remember when he goes back anything he's learned in the future that may influence his development, his growth. They needed to protect that. That was such a smart storytelling tool they put in place, continuing to use it here. He sees all this. He sees his wife. He sees his child. And yet he's going to go back and not know that this happened. Maybe but we're knowing subconsciously it's there. This is so super cool. I just love the storytelling tool. It was a good idea.
And again, I'm glad they added that in there, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that was the thing that the Legion did. Yeah, I always just thought the Legion was extra careful with Clark and not telling him stuff like, not telling him about Lois and any of that stuff. That it was one of those things, hey, we can't tell you. And they probably, I assume they told Clark, hey, we can't tell you your future. And he'd be like, oh, of course, I understand. It could ruin something. And Clark would be one of those understand me, I'm good to go with it. And he wouldn't even do research on his own because he's Clark. So I didn't know about the mental barriers on that. So that, again, I liked reading that going, oh, that's cool. That's the thing. And I'm glad they added it in this for guys like me and for people who don't read the Legion, who don't know this stuff. Even if you've never read Legion, everybody knows Superboy did stuff with the Legion if you're a Superman fan. But I've read very little of those stories. So I don't 100% know a lot of the stuff that happens. If we hadn't done that Life and Death of Feral Lad, I wouldn't even have known who Validus was.
Right.
So I'm glad they gave us that note about how, I fought him with the Legion and he's tough. His lightning and his strength and all that. I'm like, I knew all that, but I only knew it because I read the one story. Until then, I didn't know who Validus was. So I love those little extra things they're giving into this.
I love that they're recognizing, again, the important thing in comics, that every issue can potentially be a first experience for a reader. For those of us that have been reading it, it serves a purpose too, is that still in continuity? Because that's always in question as well.
Yeah.
So I love that that's in there. But what it really played as a storytelling tool is, look at the frustration on Superboy. Where he's clutching his head. I was frustrated. No, angry. I was waking up from a crucial dream that was already fading from my mind. I was positive I'd seen something important, really important, but the memory was already gone. Sort of. I love that he still remembers the fact that he's friends with the Legion, that he has adventures in the future and things like that, but certain elements of it he will not retain because of those mental blocks. And you get why. It all makes sense, but I love that there's a reaction afterwards. And that part is something I don't remember seeing when I was younger in comics with it. I can't pretend that I've read every Legion. I haven't. Case in point, on the Life and Death of Feral Lad episode, I didn't read any of those that were there. As far as I know, there was a couple of familiar spots, were things that I'm pretty sure that I did read, like from when I was really young, from old beat up copies I got from flea markets. But again, no way reading comprehensively what was going on with the Legion. I never remember them really dealing with the frustration of going back with these mental blocks, because I don't remember where that part actually started, because that wasn't something right from the get-go, I'm sure, or if it was, they certainly weren't exploring these layers of what is it like to wake up from a dream like that, to have that mission and not remember any of that. And I love that this explores that kind of thing. It makes Superman connectable, right? Yeah. Again, another area. Go ahead.
Oh, God, yeah. And I love the fact that he, as you said, he had that gut feeling. Now, part of me wonders if the gut feeling is more because of why Validus was sent back. Remember, we find out later that Validus was sent back by Booster as a warning to kind of get Supe in on what's going on in the future. Part of me wonders if that was the future, the mission that Booster put in with Validus to try to get Clark to remember. Because Booster would know that Clark at a young age has the blocks on.
Yeah.
And again, I do love the fact that this was going to be the day that he told her, but it wasn't. And he didn't. He's like, it was nothing. And it always makes you wonder, what if he had told her? What if he had, at that point in time, said, I'm Superboy, and shown her and all that? Would that have changed their relationship? Because you think about it. If Clark and Lana are together in Smallville, Lana would have convinced Clark to stay and not go to Metropolis. We still would have a Superman.
Right.
Because he still would be helping, but Superman would be based on a Smallville. But acting on a Smallville.
But that's where we all connect with this stuff.
I know.
Because we all have touch points in our lives where we learned from things that we'd done in the past. Those pivotal moments where like, oh, if I just was an adult here, or if I just done this differently, or I just headed it, if I zigged instead of zagged. That's part of life. It's part of what makes you who you are now. And it's part of this is ultimately part of what makes Superman who he is now. And that's where it's funny when the big thing out there is Superman at times was written in the past where he was unrelatable because he was dun-dun-dun over everything. But it is the human stories. When you get to writers that are doing this kind of stuff, this is where he's insanely relatable. And you can relate to him as a very real person. This is part of Superman writing that has to be in play. It's why I have such fond memories growing up of anytime I got a chance to read a issue with Superboy. It wasn't a lot of them by any stretch, but the problem with it is when you read something over and over again. So if I had 3 books that had Superboy in them when I was a kid, right? How many times you devour those?
Yep.
You read them over and over and over and over again. So there's this perception I've read like 57 issues with him as Superboy. No.
You've read one issue 57 times.
Or what I remember too, and you will remember this one. Remember the barbershops always had comic books?
Yes.
So I remember reading a Superboy comic at the barbershop. Wasn't mine, but man, I loved going to the barbershop. And it's weird to say you go into a place like that and you're glad to wait. I was glad to wait. Like, I was glad that somebody else in there. Remember Leo's Barbershop on Lakeshore Boulevard? It was where the pizza place was over by on the way to Shoregate.
Yes, okay.
So Leo's Barbershop had comic books. It wasn't just DC. They had Archie. They had all kinds of stuff that was there. Not a ton, but I obviously gravitated towards the DC stuff. So when there was a Superboy comic there that I know I devoured there. I never owned it, but it was an example of something where it had to been an Adventure Comics, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you what issue it was. Just the fact that I enjoyed Superboy. I'm like, Superman as a kid and he had powers? And he was called Superboy? Of course, it makes sense. We don't have was there a Batboy?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's where your mind logically goes. What other heroes had an identity as a kid of being a hero? Here's an area where we flash to present day in Chapter 2, Smallville Today, and Lana's getting ready for her wedding. So Lana in the comics at one point in time was married to Pete Ross.
Right.
And they had a kid.
Yeah.
Is that still continuity?
Yes, because you see them in the wedding, I think in 3?
Right.
You said
there's not very, I mean, he's there as a cameo. We don't really see a whole lot of reference to him. It was just interesting to me. So you're seeing it the same way I am. The way that they're talking about this is though, like she's found her person and that type of thing. It almost is like that marriage didn't happen. That's why I was asking the question, like, what's in continuity now and what's not? I was taking it as the relationship was still a thing because the kid was there, right?
Yeah, but so they got a divorce is what it comes down to.
We just don't see the kid much. Like,
well, we have not seen Pete or the kid that much. There's been references to him, but like I remember when Lana and John's story first started, there was some references to her ex and to her kid and this and that kind of stuff when they started. So they've been around. They're just not heavy into the story.
I love Lana. She's not a very good mom. Okay. Because they're like having family time up in the sky and that kind of stuff. I just didn't see like at the wedding like this kind of embracing her child. If that's why I was questioning, is that still in continuity? Because like there wasn't really any reference to the child at all, other than the fact that we get a nice little cameo. That it was nice that they were invited and ushered off to the. I'm not sure if they were on the bride's side, the groom's side, or where they were sitting. Maybe
it could be on the bride's side,
or they're in catering. I'm not quite sure where they're at.
Really nice catering.
Yeah, I do love her moments with Clark. This is, again, flashing the present day. We get to see this young couple that could have been, that have become friends. There is a love between them, but it is a love that comes from just such a rich shared history. And I do think that there's different kinds of love, and I think this is in no way a threat to Lois and him, but it is very much like a thing. You feel it. I think it's just good writing where this is different than him with like Cat Grant or somebody like that. There's something unique to this relationship that you can't replicate elsewhere. And I just love when writers and artists are able to capture this.
These two love each other flat out.
Yes.
But it's not a lustful love. It's not that kind of love, but it is that pure love. And I love seeing that. It's absolutely wonderful. Mm-hmm. And when Lois first probably met Lana, There was some, okay, I got to feel this out,
Yeah.
but now Lois 100% knows what this friendship relationship is.
Yes.
There's nothing remotely to be worried about. There's nothing at all on that side. And I think that is absolutely brilliant. I love the fact that we're in an era when both of them have super senses. And so both Lois and Clark can hear the conversation going on between Lana and John and knowing, okay, we got a problem with the bride and the groom. It's time for me to step in.
I got to say this, we're dealing with a different art team, but this really flows flawlessly. I love storytelling choices where art transitions are handled differently. In the All In special, you mentioned the jarring art differences. They needed to be there. And I think they served a very pivotal purpose because the tone, when you're telling the story from Darkseid's perspective, I love that it was very Kirby-esque, very jarring from the beginning of the book. It was supposed to be. It did what it was supposed to do. This, on the other hand, we have this charming story in the beginning that is then leading into an equally charming story here, but we're ramping up the danger. And there's something going on. And you've got to build this sense of this right now because Superman's asking more questions now. Why has he returned on today of all days? And is this about the Lana and Steel wedding? Or, and then the wind's changing, the barometric pressure, which is now another thing. There's more going on here than just Validus. And that part is real because now you've got to up the game. Why do all the other heroes need to be involved in all of this?
Yeah.
And it's because there's multiple layers of what's going on here. This town's about to be devastated. And that part is just really, really cool.
And I love the fact that everybody armors up. We got the Steels armoring up, then you see Lana firing up to her Superwoman mode. This is one of those cool things where like, okay, all hands on deck. Because again, taking it and escalating it some more. Clark getting ready. Clark wasn't ready, but they're always ready for this kind of stuff. Again, it's the superpowers go beyond just the way we think about it. He can feel the barometric pressure change. He can tell that they're about to get this massive storm that's not anything natural. It's beyond that levels, and they're going to need all hands on deck. And I love the fact that Lois and them, they're getting the people to safety. Martha, Jonathan, help get everyone on safety. Jonathan and Martha know what's going on, so they know, okay, we usher. And I love seeing the scene when those two are running away from the crowd because their secret identity is still secret.
Yes.
So they need to do the hide and change, But again, it's always that great sequence of opening the shirt and you see the big red S and then you see both of them in costume. I'm like, yes, that is us.
Yeah, that was a part that really stuck out for me. It was really, really... I love when they're flying into battle. The two of them are developing a battle strategy together. They're talking it through. This is a couple who is really in tune with each other. They're used to being partners. So it's not about being partners when they're flying and fighting crime and things like that. It's about their partners in the Daily Planet. They've been partners for their entire career together. So they've developed a really strong and effective working relationship, knowing when to also let egos get out of the way and default to the other. So you see that natural, organic Superman. You've got more experience here. What do we do next? There is no ego involved there. And this whole series of issues where we got a chance to see this team up between the two of them in this capacity, I think was just really, really a cool exploration of what a relationship looks like when you're a solid, healthy couple and you're going through this. It worked well.
Oh, God, yeah. And again, I love when they're laying out the game. Superman's fighting Validus.
Uh-huh.
First thing he does is knocks him out of the town, so it doesn't do as much damage. And I love when the other heroes are getting together. What do we do? And it's John Henry's like, we save the people, pets, and livestock first. Everything else can be rebuilt.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the fact that pets and livestock got put into this.
Yes.
In a farm community, livestock is life. Mm-hmm. It is, if a cow dies, that's not just one cow dying. That's multiple generations that they're not going to have the calves. They're not going to have the income. They're not going to have the food. You kill off all their cows, that's it. They're done. There's no way they'll be able to recover from it. And I love the fact that they got mentioned, hey, we got to protect the livestock. We got to protect these animals.
Let's go to 2 layers with the pets. First of all, they're part of the family. Anybody who's had a pet, it's one of those pieces. So yes, you've got to protect them for that reason. Also on a farm, though, depending on the kind of farm, when you've got livestock, there's certain pets that are trained to help wrangle animals in, and they can be a part of that process if they're so trained. So they can be working on the farm, perhaps, in some capacity, where obviously it's through guidance of the adults, but they become a help. It's a very interesting line as far as what's considered a pet and not in that type of environment. But certainly just protecting them on the fact alone that they're part of the family is one of those pieces. I love that. I love the saving of lives in general. First and foremost was his thing. And I love John. John, you and I have the same love of John for the same reason. The death and return of Superman, when this character was really coming into the forefront, he was the one. I thought that my supposition on all that was going to be that each of these characters was an element of Superman, and that was going to lead to the combination. I thought he was the conscience. I thought he was the heart of Superman. And it turned out that he was inspired by Superman, and that's just who he is as a great guy. And I love that that's what we wound up being.
You and I are 100% on the same page. When Death of Superman came about and the return of Superman, I 100% was thinking every little pieces and energies of all of them were going to merge, and that's how we were going to get Superman back. And I, right along with you, the conscience of Superman, I love. And there's a scene, it was between, before, in the early days when John Henry was standing there with, I want to say Cyborg Superman before all the crazy stuff that happened with Cyborg Superman, and Cyborg was calling out about wearing the SE. I wear this to honor the man who saved my life. And I always like, that is a cool hat right there. I always thought that was a cool. I really like John.
Lois alluded to some of that too.
Yeah.
As far as in her interactions with John Henry. And when she was trying to discover what was going on. So I really liked that storytelling. And I love that all these years later, he still feels like that guy.
Yes.
Because he's an important character to me. And the fact that he's got a pivotal role in these books is something that I will read him in books when he does cameos. And I will gladly read, if they do some other form of steelbook, I will jump on that again and again because I just love the character.
Another Steelworks book would be absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Natasha's also cool, and you add Lana now to the mix.
I'm with you.
If she's part of it, that would be a great story. And again, speaking of Lana, I do like the fact that her power set's a little different than everybody else's. She's not your traditional big S. She's pulling in the lightning that's in the ground. So she's making herself a giant lightning rod. And I love the fact that she's doing all that. Again, it's little changes on Lois is hitting the twisters, trying to slow them down. John Henry's taking care of debris. Then you got the moment when Jonathan Kent gets sucked away into the tornado. Lois is for the save. And I love the fact that that was a distraction on Clark, because again, he always has the heartbeat of his parents in his ear. That and Lois Lane. Those are the people he always is constantly listening for. He always hears that. So he knew that Jonathan was in trouble, and that was a distraction that Validus needed to handle. I love those sequences because I always sit there and you start thinking multiple pages on Clark and Lois, and funny little moment of, hey, Lois, as the advice and the editor, fire your weatherman.
That kind of charm is something that's interesting to me. I'm glad the parents are back.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like how we talk about Alfred, there's certain characters that in whatever capacity they bring them back. Like I love what they're doing with Alfred right now in the current Batman series, like how they're introducing that concept and playing with it. I like what they're doing here. This piece is having the parents in, and Lois. I love that Lois is the one that rescued Dad because she could in that moment, and allowed Superman the opportunity to keep going on with Validus. He right now got distracted actually by hearing that. And I love that Lois was the one that was able to make the last minute save. It just looks so cool.
Yeah.
The Validus fight where Superman's like, okay, I've tried being nice, but I don't have time for you. And then Validus vanished back into the future was something that was super cool. I just loved. It's nice when you see Superman have like that fierce emotion where he's hit the point where all right, I have tried to be the good guy here, but you're a danger to everybody now. And I cannot take any more risk of life because they're focused on, and they did it. I love that they did it. They saved every life. I'm glad that this story ended with, yes, there was devastation to buildings and lives, you know, in the sense that their property and some of their memories were lost in all of this piece. But we didn't lose any lives.
Yeah.
And that's a great ending as far as that story goes. I'm not saying we're done yet, but I'm just saying like that part is how you want this to wrap up. The epilogue ish, where you've got Lana and Superman talking about how she's like, I want to get married now. Like, I understand that we've got the destruction and things like there, but no, there's always going to be something. And this just feels right. This is what we should be doing. And this is just kind of an acknowledgement of who we are and the love and all those kind of pieces. I just loved how that ended because I just think that there's something so true about that. I've never been at a wedding where something hasn't gone wrong. and I don't mean, I mean big and small, big and small. I was at my nephew's wedding yesterday, and there was a few things gone wrong is very, very strong to say. There's those blips of things. Like it was when they were in this barn, and it was gorgeous. I mean, very rustic place, very cool. Theme was great, but because the floorboards are barn floorboards upstairs, the catering crew was walking around. So here's what you heard. It sounded like horses tramping around upstairs. That sounds like a negative. I mean it that way. There's just something where obviously you don't want that at the wedding, right?
Right.
It went away quickly and everything was just fine. It was part of the charm, I guess, of being in a barn too. I wouldn't have changed a thing for them. It was lovely. But things happen at weddings, right? In this case, I love that they went ahead and they made the best of it. Clean. You see the broom?
Yeah,
on the ground, and they went and cleaned everything up the best that they could and moved forward with that wedding. And I did see Pete there with the kid, and I was glad to see him. That's what led to my questions because, boy, again, terrible mom. Like, I didn't see a hug of the kid or anything over there. Like, there was just devastation, like, at this place. It would have been nice to see her check on her kid.
Yeah. I just think you're going to assume she did that off page.
Okay.
I'm just going to assume she did that.
Were you actively assuming that from what you read? I said, like, I don't know. It's nice that they invited them, and it's great that he's got. Here's one thing I'm noticing. He doesn't have a Superwoman action figure. So there's something going on. There's some bitterness going on there. I'm just saying. The wedding was great. I love wedding sequences when they do them. I actually loved the fact that they gave him actually 2 panels because they clapped at the end. So apparently they were happy about it. Pete, it might be, I'm glad she's gone. Yeah, that marriage, if I remember correctly, that marriage did not end well, and Pete was the bad guy. Oh, so, yeah, but the kid's cannon fodder in all of this. So, it's take care of that kid. It's funny, I'm fascinated by this, but this is the geeky part about this feeling like a real world. I did love seeing just the whole layout of this. Is that Supergirl as the maid of honor?
He thought so.
Okay.
That's how
was she involved in the battle?
See, that's the thing. I don't see her anywhere in the battle. I don't see any images of her.
Yeah, she would.
But she wasn't there.
No.
So
yes, I don't know
who. Then I don't know who that blonde female is. I naturally assumed that was Supergirl as well, but I'm like, because I know Lana and Supergirl do have a friendship.
Because that's Natasha, right? On his side.
Yeah. Natasha was I'm assuming was the version of the best man.
Yeah.
And I thought that was Supergirl because, again, you go back to the Lois special that the Superwoman special, you see that Lana and Supergirl are friends.
Yes, yes.
So, but I didn't see her anywhere in the action sequences. So, did she miss the fight and show up afterwards for the wedding? I don't know. Or is that just a different blonde and not actually Supergirl?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm fascinated. I like the throwing of the bouquet.
Yeah,
it was cool at the wedding I was at yesterday. Her mother had given her bouquet from when she got married. As like a gift, just as a thing to have. So instead of tossing the bouquet, she gave it to her mother.
Oh, okay.
Like just kind of, my mom gave me this, I want to do this. It was kind of a cool little piece. I love the trajectory one of her turning around and tossing it to Natasha.
Yeah.
And getting that piece. It was that one I geek out of. I was lucky enough that my wife and I were at a wedding where, she caught the bouquet and I got the garter. So it was, which you don't usually get lucky enough to get that in that scenario. I think some of that was after some people getting out of the way because of what happened. Sometimes you get lucky with the help, but I love that kind of stuff because it adds the atmosphere and tone that they made the right choices to make this feel like a real well-rounded marriage. Even with them leaving in the pickup truck and just making the best of this. I did love that Steel pledged that Steelworks was going to help with the rebuilding.
Yes.
And that they were going to make sure that this town was okay and pledging that support. I think that's such a, how do these towns get rebuilt so quickly? It is the relationship with these major corporations that these things wind up happening.
And again, also cool that he and his friend, the mild-mannered reporter, Clark Kent, happened to be there. Because again, this is Smallville.
Right.
So naturally why he's there. And again, Lois and Clark were in the audience as themselves, as opposed to having Superman up there. So it was kind of neat that they kept making sure the tie-ins, because, again, we're back to a universe where Clark has a secret identity and has to keep the secret identity or people die. So it's kind of neat to have all those little pieces together. But I also do like the fact that Clark recognized, hey, we've had multiple coincidences where this has happened. Validus has come through the timeline. And who's he go to? Again, his go-to guy is Mr. Terrific. We need to figure this out. We need to figure out why Validus is coming back. What is going on here? So I love the fact that this doesn't just end with this wedding, but it ends with this moment where they're trying to get some answers out of Validus.
Yeah, I dig that. Yeah, and it's I love that it also references Martian Manhunter didn't currently have his powers, so then we needed to pull in Omen and start really trying to figure out what's going on in Validus's head, and that's where they get this idea of Validus is terrified.
Yeah,
Validus is running from something, and what would it be that would scare Validus back then? Again, setting for the stage that this Legion is not our Legion.
Yeah.
That Legion before was trying to hug it out with Validus at certain times. Sympathetic to Validus in certain ways. The ending wrap up with Booster Gold and us getting his internal dialogue. Recognizing that let's use the location where the rocket crashed. Let's put Validus there at multiple touch points to try and trigger for Superman what actually happened. I love the images of Zod and different pieces like that from Superman's present and future, things like that, just to kind of throw out there what's happening. When they bring Validus back, boy, is this a different Legion, and they look fierce.
Dude, we've got a Batman with no head. Though I think that's a statue of Batman with no head.
Yeah. Not
the actual body of Batman, I think.
Right.
I think, okay, so going by these images, I think this is the future. Okay, so remember we just talked about Booster when he was in the Hall of Heroes. This is the Hall of Heroes.
Yes.
So that was the Batman statue, but it has no head. And behind, they had images of all the different heroes.
Yeah.
And I think I think the Legion is in the Hall of Heroes. So again, I think this answers Booster went to the future.
Is that the composite Batman Superman in there too?
Yeah.
Which, that more recent version of that concept, which I think is just really cool. Yeah, no, it's a very, very different take on this. I agree with you that it's the statue that has its head knocked off, because if you look back at the original Hall of Heroes, when Booster was sharing that story, there was a Batman statue there.
Right.
So this is very much, and the images are very much reminiscent of this. So, I agree with you. I agree that's exactly what this is. Seeing Booster so emaciated in there, this is part of the reason why I'm like, should we do this story or should we not? I'm like, kind of got to, because this is, again, setting the stage for the fact that we are seeing touch points of Booster, who is there and being tortured by them. And I love that touch point. I do love that this is doing what events should do, right? So you flip that across, and everything in this issue set the stage for Superman's storytelling going forward.
Yeah.
We're going to be covering Superman 28 to 30 next episode. just because it's really important storytelling, I think, is part of this piece to go forward. But I got to say this. First of all, Action Comics has been outstanding. Superman Unlimited is a fantastic book, and that's not diminishing any of the other titles that I mentioned right now. It's more of the fact that, do we need another Superman book, right? And yeah.
Yes.
Dan Slott's nailing it in that book, and I feel it's a very, very good book. So it's nice to be getting more Superman. Have you read any of Supergirl's new ongoing series?
I read the first issue and haven't been able to get back to the other issues, and I want to, because it was that first issue was, okay, I want to read more of this, but I ran out of time.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where right now I'm focusing on as I said both episodes ago, I'm doing more reading because I read before work and then after. The get me ready to work and then calm me down after work kind of stuff. So I'm getting through more issues. I'm finally 100% caught up with Titans now, so I'm very happy there. And then what I do is I try to, the books I've already caught up on, I continue reading to stay caught up on. So I've got my own little jumbled up crazy system, and it works. It doesn't work. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's like, Jim, you're an idiot. You missed this. So there's a lot of stuff out there. Just like I want to read the Crypto, Last Dog of Krypton.
It's great.
So I haven't had a chance to read any of it, and I'm like, dude, I got to get to that and make sure I read that.
It's perfect timing for that. It's Mike Norton art.
Yeah.
Inside the covers are by Jay Lee, and they're beautiful covers. But the interior is by Mike Norton. Mike Norton's a terrific artist.
Yeah, I love his art,
and an amazing storyteller. Which you got to add that layer in, because I think there's a lot of terrific artists out there that aren't great storytellers. Mike Norton's a great storyteller. It all goes together. The one I haven't read out of this batch is this, and I'm sitting on it. I want to read it. The Adventures of Superman, Book of L.
Yeah, me too.
I'm jonesing to read that one. I did read The Treasury, the 2025 Hero for All.
You did?
Yeah, that one's good. Yeah, I'm glad that they're experimenting with types of storytelling, because it's actually a Treasury edition. Like it is. I've got the physical.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got Batman issue 1 in that size.
Yeah, me too.
That big. Isn't that sweet?
Here's something I don't know how I did it, but sometimes I order multiples of stuff
and
by accident.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So I get the book and I get the box come in, I open it and I go, oh yeah, that's the thing. And I look and I, well, I have 2 of these. So I not only have one, I have 2. So what I'll do is I'll take the one with me. If I can ever get next time we're at a con and there's I'm going to have one signed.
Yeah.
And then I'll have the other one unsigned that I can just read.
Oh, I dig that, because I would frame that. If I can get that signed by the creative team.
Oh, yeah. So that's I'm going to sit there and say I did that intentionally so I could sign it, but that's a lie. It was an accident.
No, I wish I had done that too. Oh, I'm going to see if I can get another one. It's just while they're still available at like reasonable prices. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, this is really good. I'm glad we got a chance to do this one. I hope you're enjoying this for people listening, this exploration. I know we're going a little back in the Wayback Machine, but some of that's deliberate, just because I feel like if we're really going to dive into this event, because this event's going well into 2026 with some major announcements as far as characters that are going to be appearing from outside of DC and stuff like that. I'm going to stay vague on that at the moment in case you haven't seen that news. But there's going to be surprises in DC. And I feel like we need to... I'm with you where I originally thought this was going to be some like gimmick crossover, which there's nothing wrong with. I like gimmick crossovers and stuff. But I did not realize that this was going to be like so ingrained into what we've been talking about. So I'm glad we're doing it this way. And I didn't know you didn't read all in. So that worked out to being a happy accident.
Well, I didn't realize I didn't read it either.
Thank you for bobbing and weaving on this, though, because the Summer Superman special was something we decided this morning, and appreciate you just being willing to be flexible on that one.
Well, I'll be honest, that one I did read.
No, I knew that, but when I mentioned it to you this morning, I had done a reread this morning just because the Validus piece triggered me for the next 3 issues we're covering, and I sent you a text this morning, and I just said, hey, can we talk about this at least on some level? And then you came back with, I'm going to reread it before we record, and I'm like, oh, we're going to talk about a lot more than just touching on it.
And I'll be honest, I'm glad I did.
Me too.
Because when I first read it, I was like, oh, this is cool. But knowing everything I know, reading it, adding it into, seeing how tightly it is with DCKO, I'll tell you, I am very, very excited for KO right now. DCKO or KO, whatever we're calling this event. I am very excited for this now. I was curious and interested. The level is now above. So I'm like, yes, let's rock and roll with this.
I agree.
Oh, no, you don't.
RagingBullets.com is our show website. That's where you're going to find details on currently released and upcoming episodes. We feed into Twitter/X. We also feed into a Facebook fan page. We are proud to be part of an amazing Facebook group community. And our legacy one is still up there. Our current one is still up there. Our goal with that one is to be able to just obviously reach the widest possible audience. But I want to thank everyone that posts in our current Facebook group. There's a lot of great content that comes up there, a lot of great feedback on our episodes that comes out there. So please feel free, especially now that we're going into exploring things like crossovers like DCKO. If there's things that we're talking about on here that you have clarifications or additional information, throw them in there. If there's books that we should be talking about that we haven't been, throw them in there. We want this to be a collaborative. We'll try to get to everything that we possibly can, but I really appreciate this community. And once again, if you've got something to shout out, I really do believe in a collaborative environment. If there's podcasts you want to point to or blogs you want to point to, you think are relevant to our listeners, please have at it. I've always been lucky enough in my time podcasting that people have shouted us out, and I want to make sure that we're doing the same thing. The About Us section of our show website, you can find details on how to connect with us on social media and gaming platforms. You can also connect with me bi-weekly on Is It Jaws? Co-host Paul Spataro, who was kind enough to invite me onto the podcast with him. And we do every other week film reviews with a wide variety of special guests, depending on the particular film line that we're doing. I'm also going to shout out that I've got some upcoming episodes that I've done with him on Back to the Bins, which is another comic review podcast that he does. And we're doing a Squadron Supreme series, for example. And I jumped on issues 2 and 3 of that. So you can listen right now to issue 1 of Squadron Supreme. I'm not on that one, but it's a great episode. And if you have never read Squadron Supreme from Marvel before, it's a great series. This is a great way to get your feet wet as far as getting to know a little bit more about that series. Sponsoring us, as always, is DCB Service and InStockTrades.com. Mr. Seguin, what is going on over at DCBService.com?
It's a great source for your DCKO stories, all the variant covers, the current story arcs, and whatnot, 38% off. So thank you, DCBS.
Over at InStockTrades.com, DC's finest events, Crisis on Infinite Earths, Trade Paperback Part 1. This is an amazing series. I'm assuming this is going to be at least 3 volumes. And especially with all the content that's in there, there's a possibility if they do any other supplemental stuff, it could be 4. But this is 544 pages of amazing content. It's $39.99 regularly. 55% off, only $17.99. I am loving these DC's finest books. If you have not been picking these up, this is a great way to get stories. Everything's full color. It's a very well put together production, and I love that they're collecting just unique stories in this fashion. I want to thank DCB Service and InStockTrades.com for supporting our show. Our next episode, we're going to be continuing this Wayback Machine build to DCKO as we look at Superman issues 28 to 30. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Strategery. What is that supposed to mean? That's a word that I have never seen. Do you exist? Strategery. Suddenly I don't feel as smart as I used to be. I couldn't find it in a dictionary. Oh, what the heck is strategery? Why I need to know, I don't know, it's just my way. I asked a friend I know, and they told me go away. Strategery. Maybe it's something that is wrong with me. I may need a pill from the pharmacy. Maybe that will cure my strategery. Why I need to know, I don't know. It's just my way. Just because I don't know, I'll just say it anyway. Strategery. A definition isn't meant to be, or at least one that I can see. I'm so confused. Strategery.